Okay, we are live. So, my name is David Thompson. I'm a VR enthusiast, but amongst other things, I'm also a sailor. I sail just now regatta, usually in the Mediterranean with a big group. Um, I've had my own boat, and I kind of grew up sailing. I'm also a naval architect. I'm also a VR developer, and also work for a large software company. So I wanted to make this video because I've come across this app on the Oculus App Lab, and I think it's got loads of potential. And I wanted to give a kind of try and give an expert review. I've seen a few of the videos out there. The developer Greg does some really good technical videos, and I wanted to give my kind of input to help people who might be interested in this application or in general in sort of sailing games and VR sailing. So Marineverse Cup is special because it works on virtual reality, and specifically it's the only one that you can get for the Oculus platform, and of course the only one that works for Oculus Quest, so the standalone devices. It's available on something called the App Lab. This is it. If you Google it, you'll find it. It's 19 euros where I live in Germany, and it's very special because it's really quite a focused sailing game which is focused on racing. So there are some other applications available on Steam where you can kind of just cruise around. There are applications where you can really learn how to sail or kind of get towards getting a sailing qualification. So eSail, I think it's called, on Steam is a very good application for that. But Marineverse Cup is really going towards competitive sailing and looking at sailing, I think, as an esport, or certainly I feel like it's got huge potential as an esport. So that's the application. I play it on Quest. I will run it on my Quest here using remote desktop or virtual desktop, so you can see a little bit what the game's like. I'll take you through the menus and the concepts first. I'll go into VR for a short race, a short demo, and then I'll show you this kind of behind the scenes here website that they've got that stores all of your statistics and that kind of stuff. So this is the application. I'm running it on SteamVR mode. I am in VR here. If it wakes up, you'll see that my controller moves around there as I move around. But by default, even when you're in VR, it displays something on desktop mode, so that's what you're looking at here. And I'll run through the menus first so you understand how the game works before I go into VR. So the game, as I said, has two goals. It's mostly about close racing, if you like, sort of match racing around a course out at sea. But it of course has some sailing lessons to allow beginners to the sport to learn how to sail. So these lessons, I would say, are great to understand the fundamentals of sailing, and doing that in VR is even better because you get to pull the sheet to tighten the sails, or turn the wheel, or use the tiller. So you get that in body training, but it's not really sail training that would get you to professional qualification or anything like that. But they're more than good enough for you to understand how to sail, the basics of sailing. So you can see here, come aboard, some of the parts of the boat, how to steer, wind direction, controlling your speed, so getting the maximum speed out of the boat, which is what racing is all about. And then you do a little race at the end. And it's worth saying that racing is the best way to learn how to become a good sailor. So once you've learned the basics and you can move the boat around where you want it to go, then you start participating in races, and those races are a fantastic way to figure out how can you get your boat to go as fast as absolutely possible. So that's the sail training part. You can then participate in races in single player mode, which basically means you will go into a race, but you'll be playing against other people who've raced that particular race in a recording. So you're never going in by yourself. You're always going in against other boats. And I think there are some bots, but I think if people have done the race during the day, you'll be racing against them as recordings. You can see here that there are several different leagues as such. and these are related to the type of boat that you sail and your location in the world, and also to your level of proficiency. So the dinghy, of course, is a small boat. It's a small laser one, excuse me. Dinghy Zone 6 is a league for people in my time zone. I just learned that this morning from Greg, so thanks for that video. Pro and Standard are sailing this big boat here. You can see 2 sails, and hopefully multiple crew in the future. But you do everything by yourself on the boat today. And I'm not too sure what the differences are, but basically Pro has some higher. You get the better sailors in there. And what I've realized is once you do the Pro level, you get a handicap in Standard. Wasp is a very special hydrofoil type of vessel. Maybe we can see it here. So that's the Wasp. It's very hard to sail. You've got to get it up on this foil all the time. Luckily, it's not as hard to sail as the real thing, where you need a lot of balance. There's the dinghy. It's a laser one as far as I can tell. And there's the big boat. Single player allows you to compete in all of these leagues at the same time. So you can go into each one and set a time, and it'll be recorded, and your time then is compared against other people in the statistics that I'll show you later. When you're in single player mode, you can do the daily, it's called the race practice, because you're racing against recordings, or you can actually go into previous race recordings from the day before and race against the replay from those. So that's quite a nice thing to do. If you know that somebody else set a good time yesterday, you can go into those previous ones. The user interface and how this is all set out, I think it's got a lot of development still to be done to it, because there's a lot of leaks and stuff behind the scenes here, but I'm trying to explain it to you as best as I can. So these are races against recordings, because it's single player modes, and you have these different leagues across the top. If you go into multiplayer and you hit instant multiplayer, you might today be racing against one boat maybe, or nobody. The first person in becomes the host, and multiplayer differs because you play against people who are in that multiplayer session at that particular time. So it's live multiplayer. You have boat collisions are turned on, and you have audio, so you can chat to people in the race. So that's probably better if you want to play against your friends and you want to have a more social experience. Whereas the single player is more for the just going out for a race, 10-minute in your coffee break. It's perfect for that kind of thing. And you can see here that there are these kind of RSVP races, so the developers can kind of get an idea of who's going to race. It might be for server sizing or something like that, but basically this is to indicate whether you're going to join these things. There is a Discord channel that allows you to kind of match up with other sailors, so you can go into multiplayer. But I'd say that the community is still, in that growing phase just now. And of course, if you join a community, you will help people to find more sailors in their time zone and their languages around the world. The boats I've shown you. Locations are really more or less just a skybox, and you'll see that it's kind of always in the distance because the race happens out at sea. So the locations don't play that much of a role, but it's quite nice just to see these backgrounds. The stats are in a web browser, and I'll show you that after I've done a very short race. And there's a few settings there that you can do, not too much really, that you can change there. I'm going to turn off auto sails. So auto sails is something that adjusts the sails for you automatically, which is quite useful when you're learning, but once you know how to sail, you probably turn that kind of stuff off. Right, so I'm going to jump in, and I'm going to do just a single player race against recording so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so I'm using an Oculus Quest. The Oculus Quest version is pretty much identical to this. I'm just using the Steam version today, which you do have to pay for separately from the Quest, so that you can see what it looks like. So we'll just do standard race, daily race practice. All right, so now you should see it, just double checking that it's going to the stream. Yep. I'm now on the boat. There's a variety of different ways to control it. So first of all, you can grab the wheel, or you can use your laser pointer and slide it. So this is for the case that you're up the front here, for example, and you want to control the wheel by, oh, doesn't quite work like that. I thought that was so you could do it when you're far away. You can control the winches like this, so sliding them, and you can actually grab the winch with a grip button and turn the winches like a real winch. Teleport back to the wheel position. It's not remembered my location properly. Weird. Sorry, bit of an issue here. It's not remembered the center of my play area. All right, I've got the wheel here. So we're going 0 speed. We're going backwards. So I'm going to trim the sails, which I can do also with the joysticks you can see here. So I can control all of the things on the boat with my joysticks here. So I can trim the forward sail or the foresail with the right hand joystick and the main with that one. That black boat there, Tartan Storm, is actually me. So I'm going to race against my own recording. And I've had a really bad start, but that's okay. I've got a handicap. That means I have to wait. The black boats, by the way, you can get if you get what's called a sailing pass. I think you have to become a Patreon for that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. Oh, and I can actually see an avatar there. That's my avatar floating in the water. At the moment, the developer's working on adding avatars here, so you can see there's no avatar on that boat. The dark areas here are gusts. So I just went through a gust, which is why I caught up with myself. And yeah, the trick to racing is really just to optimize your speed on the course that you're on. And I'm going to tack now together with my recording, my ghost if you like. We're pretty much on top of each other just now. There's no collisions on when you're playing against a recording like this. You can see the graphics of the other boats do disappear as you get close to them. When you're doing real live multiplayer, you cannot go through the boats in the same way. But most of the racing I found is very close like this. So you're really just trying to nudge ahead of your competitors. And a lot of this really depends on how you do these turns. So you can see that I am not beating myself there because my foresail is not optimized. So I let the foresail out a little bit, try and get the speed maximized 4.6, 4.7, dropped off. Mainsail can be trimmed slightly better. Should be able to get 5 knots on a run or broad reach like this, which is this point of sailing with the wind behind me. Now I'm going to go around this buoy. Actually do a bit better turn than my previous self. Go right through the middle of this gust here. So you can see my sails are not trimmed properly. So I've got a good boost through the gust here. Always trimming the sails. So the wind has shifted a bit. It's quite hard to do this when you're recording, but when you're racing, you're basically looking at this thing for wind shifts, looking at this telltale on your sail the whole time. And then we're going to bring her up into wind. Sorry. I see. So I think these other boats, so there was a light blue patch in the water, which means there's a lull in the wind. So you lose some speed. Yeah, another lull or a wind change direction. Here we go. So my sails are trimmed for when the wind changes. Here we go. Might beat myself if I'm lucky here. Yep. Oh, not looking at all where the finish line is. And will beat myself. That's at least saved some of my pride. And here we go across the line. So there is, on the Quest version, there's more audio guidance. Maybe I've turned that off on the PC mode. And there we go. We get a horn and we go across the line. And I will go back to non-VR. came across it in the stream, and you can see me again. I'm going to flip back to my web browser. So something you see once you've logged in and you've connected basically your Marineverse login, which is on this website, marineverse.com, and you connect it to your Oculus app, then you can get these nice statistics. So the statistics just now are only on the website, but they will become available on inside the app, I believe. So you can see there, okay, I'm number 1 in my town, great. I don't think anybody else has it here. Number 2 in Germany, which is not bad. And if we scroll down here, we can see all of the results in each of these leagues, which I mentioned before. So I sail mostly the standard Marineverse Cup Standard League, and you can see that I've raced twice today and not got a place, but I was second on March the 21st. So if I click on that race, I then get the full results for this race. I can watch the full race, which is very nice, as a replay in my browser. This is using something called A-Frame, and I'm just using the WASD keys to fly around. So it's very simple controls. And you can see there, this is me because I've linked my Steam profile to my Marineverse Cup. That's why I see my avatar picture there. And these replays are very good. Even though it looks very simple, you can actually figure out where you went wrong. So these boats went a little bit higher up into the wind and got more speed around the mark there. So I learned something. And the person who eventually won there got past me. I don't think I was racing that person when I was doing this. I was first place for a while, but this person's obviously competed in this race after me and set a better time. And there's some tricks they do. So even if you see the recordings, you don't see the top 3, so you can't just follow their track. But as you can see here, this race replay is very useful, and that's not all you get. You get also full statistics, if you like, data from the various people involved in the race. So boat speed, boat balance, and then the very useful thing to do is if you click on your own time, you get a replay here, which is not so useful by yourself, but you get all of these statistics just for your boat there. So you can see here I seem to lose a little bit of time, for example. There shouldn't have really been a hiccup there, so I must have made a mistake. That was probably a tack. A good average speed along there, and it's actually very useful to help you analyze, especially the boat speed, where you did something right or where you did something wrong. So a great little application, and it's basically about competitive sail racing, close racing. The races are short, so you can do them in your lunch break or a coffee break. The sailing itself is good enough. It's a good enough simulation to really help you learn how to sail, and it's a good enough simulation to make the act of racing fun in itself. So check out this app. I think it's got loads of potential. The developers got loads of plans in place. There's a nice Discord channel. The community is very nice, and yeah, put your comments in here if you've got any comments or questions about this app, and I'll try to help you. That's all for now.